Join us for Elements of Business, where we talk to local business owners about how they do what they do. A really good friend of mine, she has started an incredible company that is super creative. She has a strong social media presence. In my mind, she's a little bit of a superwoman, not gonna lie.
3 boys. I was like, you have all of the children.
Yes,
yes.
I do have all the children. Yes, 3 rambunctious little children,
boys.
How
old are they?
10, 8, and 6.
Sweet
oh
Lord.
My!
Yes, and a husband. Let's not forget the husband.
Yeah.
So
4 boys.
Yeah,
Really,
essentially. Yeah. So she's busy, but she started something super cool, and we wanted to talk with her today because she took something that she was kind of doing as a bit of a pastime,
Hobby.
Yeah, and then created this beautiful thing out of it. So start us off.
Okay.
One, who are you?
Okay, I'm a contemporary artist. I specialize in epoxy resin art.
Yeah.
All abstract.
Now, epoxy resin art, that's the shiny stuff,
So
right?
the shiny stuff.
Break it down for us, Elaine. Break it down.
The shiny, glossy, vibrant medium.
Yeah.
So basically, for a very long time, I just specialized with like textured acrylics.
Yeah.
Which is very different from what we see here.
Yeah, it's more of the matted kind of, it has a little bit more build and different dimension to it, right? Yeah.
Which I loved.
Yeah.
And I did that for a very long time. And from the time that I started, I guess 15 years ago, I created large scale abstract art, very much a hobby job, sold to my coworkers, my bosses, my friends,
and
family.
you did this when you started your family as well, too,
well, I did
right?
this as well when I started my family, but basically
kind of
after
as a
I got
side.
married.
Yeah.
So shortly after getting married, I'm like, I could create some artwork. I could do this.
Yeah.
And I guess too, being married to someone who is in like that creative space too, right? That would have been something that like, get into that.
Sort of. Actually, I don't think it had anything to do with it.
Okay, so let's define. We just threw you under the bus, Chris. That's okay. So
I was trying to be like, and I'm sure he's like really supportive. No, it was all me.
No, it was all you.
I think it wasn't because it wasn't anything really at the beginning. It was very much like, I'm going to make some artwork for my walls. Yeah. Oh, I have more than what I need now. I'm going to bring it to work and put it on the walls at work. And then it just started to sell the more I would create. And then I think right from the beginning, I was like, my intention was that if I keep selling art, I can still buy the best paints. I can buy more canvas. I can put more into it. So every time I would sell a painting, I would be like, great, now I can buy the new golden paints. And now I can buy higher quality canvas. Yeah. So it was constantly, okay, I sold this. Now I can move on to the next step and get better at what I'm doing.
But actually, just don't want to interject there. Just from what I know of Elaine, and this is actually something I've always appreciated about you, nothing's ever an obstacle for her. So I have too many paintings. I'm going to go sell them. And you have to understand, this is who she is. Like you've always been like that. No, she used to sell cars.
I don't know how you guys.
Cars. And she was
I didn't know anything about vehicles.
And she just picks it
and
up
I was
and
like
does
top
it.
sales.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what I'm doing.
Can you imagine Elaine selling cars?
No, okay, but you know what it is?
Over the phone.
Crazy to me. I couldn't.
But I think what it is like when you're a salesperson, you're not a salesperson.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like
you're honestly helping that person find the thing that they're looking for.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And so I think that people, it doesn't surprise me so much, just from what I do know of you, just because people would trust you and they would trust that you're looking out for them. And I think that's how you become a good salesperson.
As well as your hustle. Like when I think hustle, and I don't mean hustle in a bad way, like hustle, like you're a hustler. No, I mean like hard. Go for it. Like she wants something, she goes for it. She wants to sell these things, she goes for it. She wants to test something out, she does it. Love that lack of boundaries on your, you know what I mean? Like
even back then, I was the first one in the office and I was the last one to leave the office at like 9 p.m. No one else in the car industry was doing that. Yeah. I was like, I want to be the best.
Love
you know, and even though it wasn't my number one passion, I really believe be faithful wherever you are.
Yeah.
So because that's how you move on, and that's how it's like you're faithful with little, then you will have more.
And isn't it funny how it opens other doors? Like the fact that you were able to do that once you got into something you were more passionate about, you kind of had a pathway already to
together.
Exactly. You had a pathway in how to do that because you saw that you could do something with something you weren't passionate about.
So
before,
true.
Right?
So true.
So I think there's something right, but then there's a real key to that doing the best with what you have at the time, because
I really believe
like you said, you may not be passionate about where you are. And we talked about this with Sarah last time, having a why, and that why doesn't have to be you selling cars. Like, but your why was, I want to help. Yeah. How can I help you? So it just made you naturally great at it because your why was bigger than what you were doing. Yes. Which I love.
And with the art, so I would just like, okay, sell art, continue to buy the best supplies that I possibly could. And that went on for quite a while. Yeah. But I was not a full-time artist for a very long time. It was only about 5 years ago that I decided I really want to do this. I really, like, I want this to be my thing. I want this to be my, not just my hobby that I come home and I do it at the end of the night when the kids are asleep. I want this to be my job. Right. Yeah. So I remember intentionally deciding I'm going to give it my best for a year. Yeah. I'm going to give it my best for a year and see what happens. Yeah. I'm going to be all in. Yeah. And honestly, it was a game changer. It's like you put your mind towards that. Yeah. And then it becomes not just about what you can create, but how can I do it? Like, how can I make my product better? Yeah. And at that point, I was still working with mostly acrylics. And I was seeking change. I needed more depth with my work. I knew there was something better. And the word resin came to me in a dream. What? Yes, just the word resin, nothing else. And I woke up and I thought, what the heck is resin? I didn't know. What? Like you couldn't, like, now it's becoming more, it's more well known now. But this was like 5 years ago. Yeah. There was no resin on the shelf. So I looked up what is resin. I saw this glossy substance that people were putting on floors, very industrial. Yeah. So I went out, I think we went to the States, and I bought some resin there at one of their homeware places because I couldn't find it here. And I just thought, hey, if it came to me in a dream, and I'm very like I have a strong intuition and all this, I'm like, I'm gonna mix it with my acrylics and see what happens. And I just went right for it. And I remember that week I produced 4 large scale pieces of art. By the end of the week, I had them in interior design stores. It was just the medium that I felt I was missing. Yeah. And as soon as I touched it, I knew I found it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And the other thing, and what I love about that is I love a couple things there. One, you figured out something new, but then you put intention to it and you put a timeline on it.
And I went all in.
Exactly. Yeah. And you determined within yourself, if I'm going to try this, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it hard. If it falls flat on its face, you weren't afraid of that failure. You were okay with that because you knew what your goal was. And I think that's super.
And resin's very expensive. So
it's all risk.
It's definitely like the higher priced medium if you're going to get into art. So everything you do is a risk. So as soon as you do a large piece of art, that's hundreds of dollars just on that one piece of just the resin, and not including mixed media or paints or your canvas.
Or your time.
Or your time. Yeah. Which, at the beginning, you don't even think about your time.
You never think about your time. When you're an entrepreneur, your time is worth this much.
Yeah. You're like,
and I don't mean the career, I mean this.
So I think, I just like, okay, I'm going to do this. And as soon as I started to create work that I loved and I was really proud of, then I think things just started to progress. I think it was a few months later, I'm like, I should really have an Instagram account just for my artwork. Yeah. And I had been posting on Facebook, but it was like my personal stuff and my art. Right. Yeah. I really believe that you need to make it like focused on whatever it is that you're doing if you want it to reach a certain audience. Yeah. So as soon as I had the Instagram account, I really feel like that helped because it was a outlet, like people could visually see the artwork and it was bringing it in front of people's eyes.
I think it was attaching you to the art, right? Yeah. And I think a lot of artists, that's like we were talking about earlier, it's hard to do that with artists. Like you see a piece, a piece like this on the wall and you go, oh, that's beautiful. But when you actually know you behind the scenes because of your social media, who you are, what you're about, the different things that you're doing, the on the go that you are, your family, the balance, then you go, wow, that's Artist Elaine. That's amazing. Like, that's cool. This piece means so much more than just a piece of art, which I think is really cool how you tied the two.
I think bringing the journey in with the process, like sometimes I'll even show, hey, I'm in the studio at 5 a.m.
Oh, God.
Or whatever.
I am not in the studio.
I don't try to be in the studio at 5 a.m. This is what happens, you guys.
When you find at 5 a.m.
Okay, well, some of us might be early risers and some of us are, night hawks, but I wasn't always like that. No. I found that the more I was creating artwork, I would wake up at 4 in the morning.
And you just had to do it.
I had to. Yeah. I was like, well, there's no point rolling around in bed. I might as well get up and come down to the studio. My studio's in my house.
I need a studio in my bed, in my basement. That might help.
That might help.
It does help. I come down, I still have my robe on, and I have my slippers on, and I'm like, put on the music. I mean, no one can really hear me down here.
Which is awesome.
So I'll blast the music at 4 or 5 a.m. and some of my best work is created in the middle of the night. I never used to be like that when I had little ones. I'd be like, dang it, they're up early. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But when it is something else that's waking you up and it's a passion and it's a joy, it's like you don't even care.
Love that. Yeah, that's amazing. The other thing I wanted to chat with you about was the overnight success thing. I think there's a saying floating around. Overnight success that's taken years to happen. And I think a lot of people, because of your social media, and I think this is the I don't know what
Instagram
the word is.
world, the instant.
Yeah, that whole thing where you think, okay, wow, like this just happened for Elaine. Elaine and I, because we're both entrepreneurs and we're friends, I mean, half the time when we get together, we're talking like, how can we grow your business? How can you do this? How can you do that? Where can you go there? And love that.
Yeah.
But I've seen the sacrifices. Her and her husband, you have to remember, her husband is an entrepreneur as well. Yeah. Like, they're both entrepreneurs, which is...
We've been taking care of ourselves
for
so long.
And so they're smart. And I think the beauty to what Elaine does, which I think for anybody out there who's looking to do, follow their passion or their hobbies or whatever, there is a magic, there is a balancing act to it, because you both not only have to be creative like Elaine is, but you have to be business minded, which is something else I appreciate about Elaine. She's got a good business sense. She understands when to pivot, when to move, when to change, where to source. You
figure it all out.
I was gonna ask, like, did you take any business classes? Have you had to do that, or is it something like the School of Hard Knocks?
Well, kind of. So I learned a lot of stuff on the job, like at the different places that I worked. So if they were willing to teach me in something, then I went for it. So I actually learned like accounts payable, accounts receivable. I learned general some accounting. I learned how to sell cars. I learned how to do financing deals. That was all like at work.
How to deal with clients, how to do that kind of
all that kind of stuff was on the job at every, administrative assistant work, which has some business elements, right? I never took a business course. But I also feel like I've taken leadership courses.
For sure.
So I've done that in the past. I also took like a 2-year leadership training course at one point, which was also a discipleship, like a very much ministry and outreach.
Learning how to serve other people.
Learning how to serve other people, which definitely had a huge value.
Absolutely.
So I did that. And then since I've been in business, I did things like I had someone come in and train me on QuickBooks.
Okay.
And that went on for months, where they'd come in once a week, they'd sit beside me and we'd go through QuickBooks together. I'm very much like that. Like, just show me how to do it. And then I got it.
Like a Rachel Hollis right there.
Right. Just show me
and I got this.
I don't want to read a manual. I want someone to show me how to do it. So stuff like that was with the intention to help our renovation company, because I'm like, my husband said at one point, well, are you going to do the books or should we hire someone? I'm like, I can do the books.
Yes, you can do it.
I'm like, I can do this. I worked in admin and stuff like that. So I learned how to do that. And now I do it for both of our companies. And
to speak to that as well too, because Chris has been contracting and doing stuff. One thing I appreciate about Chris as well is that he's a great, like, he knows what's coming in and what's going out and how to source this and how to allot for his time really well. Like, he's very smart that way. And I think your partnership together probably
we're a good team
in sourcing
together.
now. Like, I mean, I watch you two, and being part of, like, being an entrepreneur myself and having a husband who's very much involved in our business and very on it. I can appreciate the partnership that goes into that, and I love how you two play off of each other.
We've always helped one another. Like, even when I wasn't as busy with art, I was helping him with
design
and my perspective. I go out and see his job sites. So I was it was very much like we're a team. We're here to help each other. And now as my business has grown, he's been so helpful. I mean, I do large pieces. I can't install these on my own. Like, he does all the installs. He does the sanding of the back of the boards. So one thing I did want to mention too is the homework collection. I never thought was going to become anything.
That's another thing too. Like, I remember you started off with art, kind of doing that kind of stuff, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm doing cheese boards. I'm like, Okay.
Yeah, like where did this come from?
What's a cheese board?
Yeah, I know. Like before, like charcuterie, like
this was I couldn't say that word for like 10 years. Right. So I was like, sure, Elaine, you do that. Let's see how this goes. And lo and behold, I'm watching her at breakneck speeds here doing what she's doing. So
it was not expected. It was literally, I love doing large art. I think that's always going to be my number one passion. Yeah. But the homeware collection came from kind of a week of, hey, what else can I put resin on?
Forks.
I'm like, what else could I do this for? Yeah. And it was in a matter of days that I had done my first cheese board, my first serving trays. Yeah. And I just thought, oh, this works too. And again, I didn't think anything of it. I did it just kind of to show that resin could be used in different ways. And then after that, I had a resin company buy some of my first pieces.
Love that.
And I thought, oh, they just really like them. There's another whole story with that going on later. But basically, I realized that people liked this functional art. So bringing the two together, something that could be used. And then I would take some pictures, put them on my Instagram. Yeah. And then people would be like, oh, can I have that one in these colors? Can you make me one in this color? And within a matter of months, I remember it being just this crazy, like I would be running around Winnipeg, going from store to store. I hit up every store I possibly could, trying to find wood, boards, like cheese boards, serving trays, woods that I felt like would be really good with resin. Yeah. And I would clean out the stores and I would just buy everything I could to try to keep up with these orders that were coming in. And I'm like, again, never even thought anything business-wise. I just thought this is kind of neat that they like resin on these items. Yeah. And then eventually it hit me. I actually have like another part of the business. Yeah. And I started to apply for markets because now I had something that I could bring to like a Scattered Seeds or a Third and Bird or a market like that. You don't show up with large artwork that's a couple $1,000 and think that you're going to do well. Yeah. But you show up with something around the $50 to $100 range, and all of a sudden you have an audience that wants, to buy this beautiful gift. Exactly. So then I started with the markets, and then now it's just been like crazy. It's busy.
So something I want to kind of like hone in on for just a second was all of this was born out of a curiosity and play. Really. Like it was just born
what
out
else can I do?
Right. Yeah. And so I think that people don't take that seriously enough to think like, just play around, just get curious, just ask, and just, not everything has to be, well, how am I going to grow this quarter? And,
you don't need to be so calculated. Exactly. Sometimes these things, like, it happened organically. Yeah. And then coming with, like, the kind of
organically
boards.
With your hustle.
But no,
right? Because I want to say organically, I don't want to
I don't
think,
mean it.
It just fell into my... Yeah, I have seen you work.
Yes, okay.
But not only that, but what I find funny is you naturally kind of gravitated to saying, what else can I do on it? But from a business standpoint, what I love about that is kind of really what you're searching for is how can I make this more, not that you were searching for, but really in essence, when you look at it from a business perspective, you were looking for something that was more easily accessible so that you could actually spin around and how you naturally came upon it, which I think is really neat because people search long and far to do that with any business, right? Like, how do I find a way to sell something routinely at a good price point that people can afford, right? Like, that is kind of the magic sauce for a lot of people. And you kind of came across it naturally and then just built off of it, which I think was kind of cool.
And it came down to the process too of like, I had to go through 8 different resins before I found the resin that I'm with today. Yeah. I had to go through so many different types of wood to find like what I love and what I responds well to the resin today. Yeah. There's so much of that that nobody sees, and they don't see, the stack of boards that don't make the cut because they're not excellent. Exactly. I will not sell something if it is not excellent. Right. So I would rather
take the hit.
Take the hit. So no one sees that, but at the same time, it's all of that. Like you stand on top of all those failures.
Exactly. Yes, I love that.
Or showing up at an art show and not selling one piece.
Right. But trying it and not trying it anyway. Dissuade you.
No. My whole perspective at this one art show was like, well, I guess this isn't the right art show for me.
Perfect.
Right? It was like, this is not. I'm not going to spend the this amount again in 4 days that I'll never get back. But it also taught me, first of all, I'm always going to be humble. Yeah. Because I know what it's like to be on that other side. Yeah. Where your work is not selling. Yeah. And Yeah. But I think if something isn't going right, you have to think why.
Exactly.
And look objectively. And I'm like, this isn't the right art show for me.
Yeah.
You know? So living and learning through those circumstances, but also listening to your gut too, because I think even in that art show, I remember a few months before that having a very strong feeling like I should back out.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is we haven't really talked to any men, not that we don't love you men out there. But one thing I do really appreciate about women is we tend to be more intuitive.
Yes.
We tend to be more intuitive. And oftentimes we're told to not pay attention to our intuition. But in fact, in life, like basic life, you definitely should. But in business, I think that does make women a bit stronger leaders in some capacities, because we do have an intuition. We know when to go right or when to go left, and we feel it on the inside of us. It's something that we...
Sometimes we doubt it.
Sometimes we doubt it, but we tend to be more in tune with it, which I think I have learned over the last few years. Follow your gut, because half the time when I haven't, I've been like, dang it, I knew I shouldn't have done that. I knew it, but I still did it. But again, same thing. You learn from that. You go, okay, next time when I feel that, not doing it, got it done, right? And I think
the more you listen to that, the stronger it becomes.
Absolutely.
And the more sure you are when you sharpen it,
right? Yeah, you're sharpening it.
So you have to be obedient.
To that, to the intuition, and also taking all the information, because there have been times where my intuition has said something and then I didn't have all the information, and then you can't. So balance,
yes, that's a very good point.
But for the most part, intuition is a strong player, especially with women as leaders. I find it plays a bigger part. So
there's a really good practice too, is with intuition. Is start asking questions immediately. Start asking yourself questions. Start asking the players the questions. Get to all the information you need, and then check in. So that was something I learned recently, because intuition is becoming such an important force in our personal lives, in our it's just it's coming to the forefront, where we now are starting to understand that a lot better.
And I think knowing how to use it. Exactly. Right? Knowing when it's applicable, when it's not applicable, and
it's a superpower if we're willing to work on it.
I've got a superpower.
I want to talk to you about like the bigger picture, the dream, the drive. But first, I just want to quickly, you said something really important. I didn't want to interrupt you, but you said, when I asked you about learning and coming to this place of like, now you're a business owner and how you got there, you mentioned, through admin, I learned accounts payable and receivable. Through this, I learned this, and through. So I think for a lot of the younger audiences, they're like, well, no, I have to get to the dream job, or they don't take the lessons and the value that come with the admin positions, with the sales positions,
with being happy with where you're at.
Exactly. And it's not even being happy where you're at.
I don't think I was ever happy where I was at.
No.
It was
it's out of necessity.
Elaine, you're happy where you're at. No,
it was out of necessity.
It was more like, I'm just going to do the best.
Exactly.
I'm going to do the best right now with what I've got.
And that's those two things are really important, is no matter where you are, whether it's the desk job, whether it's cleaning, whatever that is, you do the best with what you have, with where you are.
Well, and you evaluate what is helping you in your life, right? Like, I mean, I think back to the jobs that we've even had, or I've even had, and each one of them added to where I am today. Each one of them gave me what I needed. But it takes thought. Like, you have to think, you have to be intentional. Like, we always talk about intention. You have to be intentional about thinking about those things. Like, where I'm at right now. And this is one thing I've appreciated about Elaine. I'm more of a realist, let's be honest. I call it a realist. you'd call it a pessimist, but I'm a realist, all right, peeps? I'm so real. Anyways, Elaine has always been to me very positive, very everything. But not in a, I'm going to conquer the world with a naivety to it, or whatever, however you say it. Anyway, I'm not going to try.
We'll leave that there.
More, just put that down, put a pin in that. But what I always have appreciated is she always like, Kate, I knew with the car sales didn't quite suit her, but she was always content. She was like, I know this isn't where I'm going to stay, but I'm going to take everything I can out of this situation to further me. And she wouldn't say it in those words, but you could see it in her attitude, in the way that she was approaching, the way she talked about her future. It was never like, I'm stuck. It's, this sales job is so good for this, this, and this, and this, and this, and I'm going to do that. And I was like, that's amazing. Because if I were selling cars, I would be miserable. Like, but not that car salesman should be miserable. But you know what I'm saying. It's not for me. Okay, let's get that.
It's not your passion.
So, it's not my passion. I'm not good at it. I hate buying cars. So,
so you hate buying cars, but then you also go and buy one like the day.
The same day. Yes, because I know what I want.
Yeah. You're like the ideal customer.
I know what I want, so you don't even have to sell me anything. I'm like, I want that one. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah. And I want to walk out with it today.
Yeah.
Today. So anyways, but on that point, I have really appreciated that about you. You're never stuck. You always are looking forward, and you're always taking the best out of that moment. So that's super cool.
Yeah. So now that we get to this part, you talked about her future. What's the dream? What's driving you forward and getting you here at 4 a.m.? What's behind all of that?
Well, I think some of it is just there, and I can't explain it. Like it really just is. It's like I've always been like someone that puts my full effort in no matter what I was doing. Yeah. So I think that is in me. And then there's another part of me that I'm like, wow, I've already accomplished actually a really big dream, which is to be a full-time artist. There's a lot of artists that would dream that this would be not only their passion and their hobby, but now their paycheck. Yeah. So I have to sometimes remind myself, like, I'm living the dream because I get to create artwork all day long. Not that it's always easy. Nope. Not that, every customer is easy to deal with or client or a high commission, but I get to do this. Right. So number one, I'm super thankful that I'm already living this great dream. Going forward, I want to continue to create more intentional work that I'm super proud of. That gives me more freedom. Right. So I would say the last couple of years, because everything kind of grew with social media and a lot of people do know, about my artwork, I had so many commissions, like custom orders, custom order after custom order. Sometimes I had up to 15 lined up waiting for their paintings. That is a good thing, but sometimes it creates this pressure and a stress. I hate people waiting. Yes. Right? Which so every artist,
like, it's a false urgency.
Yes, almost. It's a false urgency. And yet at the same time, when I'm working on someone's commission or piece, when I'm actually working on it, that is the only thing that matters. I'm not thinking about the list. But when I step back and I look at how many people are waiting, I don't like that pressure. Right. So my dream going forward is to continue to create, obviously, what people want for their offices and businesses and all of that, but also what I want. And I want to create pieces that are meaningful to me, that have the flow and the movement and emotion, and create a body of work that I can be really proud of.
That's so cool.